Hey, what is up, you sexy beast? GhostSickness Tristan here, and I'm bringing you creepy stories. And in this episode, I'm going to be reading Psychosis from creepypasta.com. It's a pretty long story, pretty good story. I really hope it is amazing. So as always, guys, I'm going to end on the story. If you do enjoy it, don't forget to smash that like button. And remember the fact that I love you. I'm not sure why I'm writing this down on paper and not on my computer. I guess I've just noticed some odd things. It's not that I don't trust the computer, I just need to organize my thoughts. I need to get down all the details somewhere objective, somewhere I know they can't be, rewritten or deleted or changed. Not that that's happened, it's just everything blurs together here, and the fog of memory leads to strange casts of things. I'm starting to feel cramped in the small apartment. Maybe that's the problem. I just had to go and choose the cheapest apartment, the one with a basement. The lack of windows down here makes my night and day seem to slip by seamlessly. I haven't been out in a few days because I've been working on this programming project so intensively. I suppose I just wanted to get it done. Hours of sitting and staring at my computer monitor can make anyone feel strange. I know, but I don't think that's it. I'm not sure when I first started to feel something was odd. I can't even define what it is. Maybe I just haven't talked to anyone in a while. That's the first thing that crept up on me. Everyone I normally talk to online when I program has been idle. They've simply not logged on at all. My instant messages go unanswered. The last email I got from anybody was from a friend saying he'd talk to me when he got back from the store. And that was yesterday. I'd call with my cell phone, but reception's terrible down here. Yeah, that's it. I just need to call someone. I'm going to go outside. Well, that didn't work so well. As the tingle of fear fades, I'm feeling a little more ridiculous for being scared at all. I looked in the mirror before I went out, but I didn't shave the 2-day stubble I've grown. I figured that would just go for a quick cell phone call. I did change my shirt though, because it was lunchtime, and I guess that I'd run into at least one person that I knew. Well, that didn't end up happening. I wish it did. When I went out, I opened my door to my small apartment slowly. A small feeling of apprehension had somehow already lodged itself into me for some indefinable reason. I chalked it up as not having spoken to anyone but myself in a day or two. I peered down the dingy gray hallway, made dingier by the fact that it was a basement hallway. On one end, a large metal door led to the building's furnace room. It was locked, of course. 2 dreary soda machines stood by it. I bought a soda from one the first day I moved in, but it had a 2-year-old expiration date. I'm fairly sure nobody knows those machines are even down here, or my cheap landlady just doesn't care to get them restocked. I closed the door softly and walked the other direction, taking care not to make a sound. I have no idea why I chose to do that, but it was fun giving into the strange impulse not to break the droning hum of the soda machines, at least for the moment. I got to the stairwell and took the stairs up to the building's front door. I looked through the heavy door's small square window and received quite a shock. It was definitely not lunchtime. City gloom hung over the dark street outside, and the traffic lights at the intersection in the distance blinked yellow. Dim clouds, purple and black from the outside glow of the city, hung overhead. Nothing moved, save the few sidewalk trees that shifted in the wind. I remember shivering, though I wasn't cold. Maybe it was the wind outside. I could vaguely hear it through the heavy metal door, and I knew that it was a unique kind of late-night wind. The kind was a constant, cold, quiet, save for the rhythmic music as it passed through countless unseen tree leaves. I decided not to go outside. Instead, I lifted my cell phone to the door's little window and checked the signal meter. The bars filled up the meter, and I smiled. Time to hear someone else's voice. I remember thinking, relieved, it was such a strange thing, to be afraid of nothing. I shook my head, laughing at myself silently. I hit speed dial for my best friend Amy's number, and held up the phone to my ear. It rang once, but then stopped. Nothing happened. I listened to silence for a good 20 seconds, then hung up. I frowned and looked at the signal meter again. Still full. I went to dial her number again, but then my phone rang in my hand, startling me. I put it up to my ear. "Hello?" I asked, immediately fighting down a small shock at hearing the first spoken voice in days. Even if it hadn't been my own, I had gotten used to the droning hum of the building's inner workings, my computer, and the soda machines in the hallway. There was no response to my greeting at first, but then, finally, a voice came. "Hey." said a clear male voice, obviously at a college age, like me. "Who's this?" "John," I replied, confused. "Oh, sorry, wrong number," he replied, then hung up. I lowered my phone slowly and leaned against the thick brick wall of the stairwell. That was strange. I looked at my received call list, but the number was unfamiliar. Before I couldn't think of it further, the phone rang loudly, shocking me yet again. This time, I looked at the caller before I answered. It was another unfamiliar number. This time, I held the phone up to my ear, but said nothing. I heard nothing from the general background noise of the phone. Then, a familiar voice broke my tension. "John?" was a single word in Amy's voice. I breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, it's you," I replied. "Who else would it be?" she responded. "Oh, the number I'm at a party at 7th Street, and my phone died just as you called me. This is someone else's phone, obviously." "Oh, okay," I said. "Where are you?" she asked. My eyes glanced over at the drab, whitewashed cylinder walls of the heavy metal door with its small window. "At my building?" I sighed, just feeling cooped up. I didn't realize it was so late. "You should come here," she said, laughing. "Nah, I don't feel like looking for some strange place by myself in the middle of the night," I said, looking out the window silently, windy street that secretly scared me just a tiny bit. "I think I'm just gonna keep working or go to bed." "Nonsense," she replied. "I can come get you. The building is close to 7th Street, right?" "How drunk are you?" I asked lightheartedly. "You know where I live." "Oh, of course," she said abruptly. "I guess I can't get there by walking, huh?" "You could if you wanted to waste half an hour," I told her. "Right," she said. "Okay, have to go. Good luck with your work." I lowered the phone once more, looking at the numbers flash as the call ended. Then the droning silence suddenly reasserted itself into my ears. The two strange calls and that eerie street outside just drove home my aloneness in this empty stairwell. Perhaps from having seen too many scary movies, I had the sudden inexplicable idea that something could look in the door's window and see me. Some sort of horrible entity that hovered at the edge of my aloneness, awaiting, just creeping up on an unsuspecting people that strayed far too long from other human beings. I knew the fear was irrational, but nobody else was around, so I jumped down the stairs, ran down the hallway into my room, and closed the door as swiftly as I could, while still staying silent. Like I said, I feel a little more ridiculous for being scared of nothing, and the fear has already faded. Writing this down helps a lot. It makes me realize there's nothing wrong. It filters out my half-formed thoughts and fears, and leaves only cold, hard facts. It's late. I got a call from a wrong number, and Amy's phone died, so she just called me back from another number. Nothing strange is happening. Still, there was something a little off about that conversation. I knew it could have been just a little alcohol she had, or was it even that she seemed off to me? Or was it, yes, that was it. I didn't realize it until this moment, writing things down. I knew writing things down would help. She said that she was at a party, but I only heard silence in the background. Of course, that doesn't mean anything in particular, as she could have just gone outside and make the call. No, that couldn't be it either. I didn't hear the wind. I need to see if the wind is still blowing. Monday. I forgot to finish writing last night. I'm not sure what I expected to see when I ran up the stairwell and looked out the heavy metal door's window. I'm feeling ridiculous now. Last night's fears seemed hazy and unreasonable to me now. I can't wait to go out into the sunlight. I'm going to check my email, shave, shower, and finally get out here. Wait, I think I heard something. It was thunder. That whole sunlight and fresh air thing didn't happen. I went out into the stairwell and up the stairs only to find disappointment. The heavy metal door's little window showing only flowing water as torrential rain slammed against it. Only a very dim, gloomy light filtered in through the rain, but at least I knew it was daytime, even if it hadn't been gray, sickly wet all day. I tried looking out the window and waiting for lightning to illuminate the gloom, but the rain was too heavy, and I couldn't make out anything more than vague, weird shapes moving at odd angles in the waves washing down the window. Disappointed, I turned around, but I didn't want to go back to my room. Instead, I wandered up further flight of stairs, past the first floor and the second. The stairs ended at the third floor, the highest floor in the building. I looked through the glass that ran to the outer wall of the stairwell. I opened the stairwell door and wandered down the hallway. The 10 or so thick wooden doors, painted blue a long time ago, were all closed. I listened as I walked, but it was the middle of the day, so I wasn't surprised that I heard nothing but the rain outside. As I stood in the dim hallway, listening to the rain, I had a strange fleeting impression that the doors were standing like silent granite monoliths erected by some ancient forgotten civilization for some unfathomable guardian purpose. Lightning flashed, and I could have sworn that, for just a moment, the old grainy blue wood looked like rough stone. I laughed at myself for letting my imagination get the best of me, but then it occurred to me that the dim gloom and lightning must mean that there's a window somewhere in the hallway. A vague memory surfaced, and I suddenly recalled the third floor had an alcove and the insert window halfway down the floor's hallway. Excited to look out into the rain and possibly see another human being, I quickly walked over to the alcove, finding the large, thin glass window. Rain washed down it, as with the front door's window, but I could open this one. I reached a hand open to slide it open, but hesitated. I had a strange feeling that if I opened that window, I would see something absolutely horrifying on the other side. Everything's been so odd lately, so I came up with a plan, and I came back here to get what I needed. I don't seriously think anything will come of it, but I'm bored, it's raining, and I'm still going stir crazy. I came back to get my webcam. The cord isn't long enough to reach the third floor by any means, so instead, I'm going to hide it between the two soda machines in the dark end of my basement hallway. Run the wire along the wall and under my door, and put black duct tape over the wire to blend it in with the black plastic strip that runs along the base of my hallway walls. I know it's just silly, but I didn't have anything better to do. Well, nothing happened. I propped open the hallway to the stairwell door, steeled myself, then flung the heavy door wide open and ran like hell down the stairs to my room and slammed the door. I watched the webcam on my computer intently, seeing the hallway outside my door and most of my stairwell. I'm watching it right now, and I don't see anything interesting, but I just wish my camera's position was different so that I could see the front door. Hey, someone's online! I got out an older, less functional webcam that I had in my closet to video chat with my friend online. I couldn't really explain to him why I wanted to video chat, but it felt good to see another person's face. He couldn't talk very long, and we didn't talk about anything really meaningful, but I felt much better. My strange fear has almost passed. I would feel completely better, but there was something odd about our conversation. I know that I have said that about everything seems completely odd, but still, he was very vague in his responses. I can't recall one specific thing that he said, no particular name or place or event, but he did ask for my email address to keep in touch. Wait, I just got an email. I'm about to go out, and I just got an email today from Amy and asked me to meet her at dinner at a local place we usually used to go to. I do love pizza, and I've been eating random food from my poorly stocked fridge for days, and I can't wait. Again, I feel ridiculous about the odd couple of days I've been having. I should destroy this journal when I get back. Oh, another email. Oh my god, I almost left the email and opened the door. I almost opened the door, but this time I read the email first. It was from a friend I hadn't heard from in a long time, and it was sent to a huge number of emails. That must have been every person he had saved in his email address list. Had no subject, it said simply, "Seen with your own eyes, don't trust them they." What the hell is that supposed to mean? The words shocked me, and I kept going over and over them. It was a desperate email sent to just as something happened. The words are obviously cut off without finishing. On any other day, I would have dismissed this as spam for my computer's virus or something, but the words, "seen with my own eyes," I can't help but read over this journal and think back to the last few days and realize that I have not seen another person with my own eyes or talked to another person face to face. The webcam conversation with my friend was so strange, so vague, just so eerie. Now that I think about it, what the hell is eerie? There's just a fear clouding my memory. My mind toys with the progression of events I've written here, pointing out that I have not been presented with one single fact that I did not return specifically, given out unsuspectingly. The random wrong number that got my name and subsequent strange return call from Amy? The friend that asked for my email address? I messaged him first when I saw he was online, and then I got my first email a few minutes after that conversation. Oh my god, that phone call with Amy, I said over the phone, I said it was within a half an hour's walk of 7th Street. They now know I'm here. What if they're going to try to find me? Where is everyone else? Why haven't I heard and seen anyone else in days? No, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I need to calm down. This madness needs to end. I don't know what to think. I ran about my apartment furiously, holding my cell phone up to see every corner to see if I got a signal through the heavy walls. Finally, in the tiny bathroom near one ceiling corner, I got a single bar. Holding my phone there, I sent a text message to every number in my list, not wanting to betray anything about my unfounded fears. I simply sent, "You seen anyone face to face lately?" At that point, I just wanted to get any reply back. I didn't care what the reply was or if I embarrassed myself. I tried to call someone a few times, but I couldn't get my head up high enough. And if I brought my cell phone down even an inch, it lost signal. Then I remembered the computer and rushed over to it, instant messaging everyone online. Most people were idle or away from their computer. Nobody responded. My messages grew more frantic, and I started telling people where I was and to stop by in person for a host of barely passable reasons. I didn't care about anything at that point. I just needed to see another person. I also tore apart my apartment looking for something that I might have missed, some way to contact another human being without opening the door. I know it's crazy. I know it's unfounded, but what if? What if? I just needed to be sure. I taped my phone to the ceiling just in case. Tuesday. The phone rang. Exhausted from last night's rampage, I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to the phone ringing and ran into my bathroom, stood on the toilet, flipped open the phone taped to the ceiling, and it was Amy. I feel so much better. She was really worried about me, and apparently she had been trying to contact me since the last time I talked to her. She's coming over now, and yes, she knows where I am without me telling her. I feel so embarrassed. I am definitely throwing this journal away before anyone sees it. I don't even know why I'm writing in it right now. Maybe it's just because it's the only communication I've had at all since God knows when. I look like hell, too. I looked in the mirror before I came back in here. My eyes are sunken, my stubble is thicker, and I just look generally unhealthy. My apartment is trashed, but I'm not going to clean it up. I think I need someone else to see what I've been through. These past few days have not been normal. I am not one to imagine things. I know I've been the victim of extreme probability. I probably missed seeing another person a dozen times, but I just happened to go out there when it was late in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day when everyone was gone. Everything's perfectly fine. I know this now. Plus, I found something in my closet last night that helped me tremendously. A television. I set it up before I wrote this, and it's in the background right now. Television has always been an escape for me. It reminds me that there's a world beyond these dingy brick walls. I'm glad Amy's the only one who responded to me after last night's frantic pestering of everyone I could contact. She's been my best friend for years. She doesn't know it, but I count the day that I met her among one of the few friends of true happiness in my life. I remember that warm summer day fondly. It seemed a different reality from this dark, rainy, lonely place. I feel I spent days sitting in that playground, much too old to play, just talking with her and hanging around, doing nothing at all. I still feel like I can go back to that moment sometimes, and that reminds me that this damn place, it's not all there is. Finally, a knock on the door. I thought it was odd that I couldn't see her through the camera I hid between the soda machines. I figured that it was bad positioning, like when I couldn't see out the front door. I should have known. I should have known! After the knock, I yelled through the door jokingly that I had a camera between the soda machines, because I was embarrassed myself that I had taken this paranoia so far. After I did it, I saw her image walk over to the camera and look down at it. She smiled and waved. "Hey," she said to the camera blithely, giving it a wry look. "It's weird, I know," I said into the mic attached to the computer. "I've had a weird few days." "Must have," she replied. "Open the door, John." I hesitated. How could I be sure? "Hey, humor me for a second here," I told her through the mic. "Tell me one thing about us, just to prove to me you're you." She looked at the camera and gave it a weird look. Alright," she said slowly, thinking. "We met randomly at a playground where we were both too old to be there." I sighed deeply as the reality turned and my fear faded. God, I'd been so ridiculous. Of course it was Amy. That day wasn't anywhere in the world except in my memory. I never mentioned it to anyone, not out of embarrassment, but out of a strange secret nostalgia that longed for the days to return. If there was some unknown force at work trying to trick me as I feared, there was no way they could have known about that day. "Alright, I'll explain everything," I told her. "Be right there." I ran out my small bedroom and fixed my hair as best I could. I looked like hell, but she would understand. Snickering at my own unbelievable behavior at the mess I'd made out of my place, I walked over to the door. I put my hands on the doorknob and gave the mess one last look. So ridiculous, I thought. My eyes traced over half-eaten food lying on the ground, an overflowing trash bin, and a bed I'd tipped to the side looking for God knows what. Almost turned to the door to open it, but my eyes fell on one last thing. The old webcam, the one I used for that eerie, vacant chat with my friend. Its silent black sphere lay haphazardly tossed on the side, its lens pointed at the table where the journal lay. An overwhelming terror looked at me as I realized if someone could see through the camera, it would have seen what I just wrote that day. I asked her for any one thing about us, but she chose to do the one thing in the world that I thought they or it did not know, but it did. It did know it. It could have been watching the webcam and me the whole time. I didn't open the door. I screamed in uncontrollable terror. I stomped on the old webcam on the floor. The door shook and the doorknob tried to turn, but I didn't hear Amy's voice through the door. Was the basement door keeping me out of drafts too thick? Or was Amy not even outside? What could have been trying to get in, if not her? What the fuck is out there? I saw her on computer through the webcam outside. I heard her on the speakers through the camera outside, but was this real? How could I know? She's gone now, I screamed. I shouted for help, piled up everything in my apartment against the front door. Friday. At least I think that's a Friday. I broke everything electronic. I smashed my computer to pieces. Every single thing on there could have been accessed by network access, or worse, altered. I'm a programmer, I know. Every little piece of information I gave out since this started, my name, my email, my location, none of it came back from outside until I gave it out. I've been going over and over what I wrote. I've been pacing back and forth, alternating between stark terror and overpowering disbelief. Sometimes I'm absolutely certain some phantom entity is dead set on a simple goal of getting me to go outside. Back to the beginning, with the phone call with Amy. She was effectively asking me to go open the door and go outside. I keep running it through my head. One point of view says I've acted like a madman, and all this is extremely convergence of probability, never going outside at the right times just by pure luck, never seeing another person by pure chance, getting a random nonsense email by some sort of virus at the time. The other point of view says that it's extremely convergent probability that there's a reason that whatever's out there hasn't got me already. I kept thinking, I never opened the window on the 3rd floor. I never opened the front door until that incredibly stupid stunt with a hidden camera after I ran straight into my room and slammed the door. I haven't opened my own solid door since I flung open the door of the building. Whatever's out there, if anything's out there, never made an appearance in the building before I opened the front door. Maybe the reason that it wasn't in the building already was that it was somewhere else, getting everyone else. Then I waited until I betrayed my existence by trying to call Amy, a call which didn't work, until it called me and asked me my name. Terror literally overwhelms me every time I try to fit the pieces of this nightmare together. That email, short, cut off. Was this someone trying to get the word out? Some friendly voice desperately trying to warn me before it came? Seeing with my own eyes, don't trust them. Exactly what I'd been so suspicious of. It could have masterful control of all things electronic, practicing its insidious deception to trick me into coming outside. Why can't it get in? It knocked on the door. It must have had a solid presence. The door. The image of those doors in the upper hallway's guardian monoliths flashed back into my mind every time I traced the path of thought. If there was something phantom entity trying to get me outside, maybe it can't get through those doors. I kept thinking back over all to the books I've read or the movies I've seen, trying to generate some explanation for this. Doors have always been such an intense foci of human imagination. Always seen as wards or portals of special importance. Perhaps just this door is too thick. I know that it couldn't bash through any of the doors in this building, let alone the heavy basement ones. Aside from that, the real question is, why does it even want me? Or if it just wanted to kill me, it could have done so in a number of ways, including just waiting till I starved to death. What if it doesn't want to kill me? What if it just wants a far more horrific fate in store for me? God, what can I do to escape this nightmare? A knock on the door. I told the people on the other side of the door that I need a minute to think and I'll come out. I'm really just writing this down so I can figure out what to do. At least this time, I heard their voices, my paranoia, and yes, I recognize I'm being paranoid, has me thinking of all sorts of ways that their voices could be faked electronically. There could be nothing but speakers outside simulating human voices. But did it really take them 3 days to come talk to me? Amy is supposedly out there, along with 2 policemen and a psychiatrist. Maybe it took them 3 days to think of what to say to me. The psychiatrist's claim could be pretty convincing if I decided to think this had all been a crazy misunderstanding and not some entity trying to trick me into opening the door. The psychiatrist had an older voice, authoritarian but still caring. I liked it. I'm desperate just to see someone with my own eyes. He said I have something called psychosis, and I'm just one of the nationwide epidemic of thousands of people having breakdowns triggered by a suggestive email that got through somehow. I swear he said got through somehow. I think he means spread throughout the country inexplicably. But I'm incredibly suspicious that the entity slipped up in revealing something. He said I'm a part of a wave of emergent behavior, that a lot of other people are having the same problem with the same fears, even though we've never communicated. That nearly explains the strange email about eyes that I got. I didn't get the original triggering email. I got a descendant of it. My friend could have broken down too, and tried to warn everyone he knew against his paranoid fears. That's how the problem spreads, the psychiatrist claims. I could have spread it too, with my texts and instant messages to get everyone online that I know. One of these people might be melting down right now, after being triggered by something I sent them. Something that they may interpret any way they want, something like a text person saying, "Have you seen anyone face to face lately?" The psychiatrist told me he did not want to lose another one, that people like me are intelligent and that's our downfall. We draw connections so well that we draw them even when they shouldn't be there. You said, it's easy to get caught up in the paranoia of our fast-paced world, a constantly changing place, even more and more when the reaction is simulated. I have to give him one thing. It's a great explanation. It neatly explains everything. It perfectly explains everything. In fact, I have every reason to shake off this nightmarish fear that something or someone else of consciousness or being out there wants me to open the door so that it can capture me for some horrible fate worse than death. It would be foolish, after hearing that explanation, to stay in here until I starve to death just to spite the entity that might have gotten everyone else. It would be foolish to think that, after hearing that explanation, it might have been one of the last people alive in the empty world, hiding in my secure basement, spiting some unthinkable deceptive entity and my refusal to be captured. It's a perfect explanation for every strange thing I've seen or heard, and I have every reason in the world to let all my fears go and open the door. That's exactly why I'm not going to. How can I be sure? How can I know what's real world and what's deception? All of these damn things and their wires and their signals can originate from some unseen origin. They're not real. I can't be sure. Signals through the camera, faked video, deceptive phone calls, emails, even the television lying broken on the floor. How can I possibly know it's real? It's just signals, waves, light, the door. It's bashing on the door. It's trying to get in. What insane mechanical contrivance could be trying to simulate the sound of men attacking the heavy wood so well? At least I've seen it with my own eyes. There's nothing left in for it to deceive with me. I've ripped apart everything else. It can't deceive my eyes, can it? Seen with your own eyes, don't trust them. Wait. That was a desperate message telling me to trust my eyes, or warning me about my eyes too. Oh my god, what's the difference between a camera and my eyes? They both turn light into electrical signals. They're both the same. I can't be deceived. I have to be sure. I have to be sure. Date unknown. I calmly asked for a paper and pen, day in and day out, until it finally gave them to me. Not that it matters. What am I going to do? Poke my eyes out? The bandages feel like part of me now. The pain is gone. I figured that this will be one of my last chances to write legibly, as, without sight of my correct mistakes, my hand will slowly forget the motions involved. This was some sort of self-indulgence. This writing, it's a relic of another time, because I'm certain everyone left in this world is dead, or something far worse. I sit against the padded wall day in and day out. The entity brings me food and water. It masks itself as a kind of nurse, as an unsympathetic doctor. I think it knows that my hearing has sharpened considerably now that I live in the darkness. It fakes conversations in the hallways, on and off, that I might overhear. One of the nurses talks to me about having a baby soon. One of the doctors lost his wife in a car accident. None of it matters. None of it is real. None of it gets to me. Not like she does. That's the worst part. The part I almost can't handle. The things come to me. Masqueraded as Amy. Its recreation is perfect. It sounds exactly like Amy. Feels exactly like her. It even produces a reasonable facsimile of tears that it makes me feel on its lifelike cheeks. When it first dragged me in there, it told me all these things I wanted to hear. It told me that she loved me, that she's always loved me, and it didn't understand why I did this, why we could just have life together, only if I would stop insisting that I was only being deceived. It wanted me to believe, no, it needed me to believe that she was real. I almost fell for it. I really did. I doubted myself for the longest time. In the end, though, it was all too perfect, all too flawless, and all too real. The false Amy used to come every day, then every week, and finally stopped coming altogether. And I didn't think the entity will give up. I think the waiting game is just another one of its gambits. I will resist for the rest of my life if I have to. I don't know what this thing needs for me to fall into its deceptions. If I needed that, then maybe, just maybe, I'm a thorn in its agenda. Maybe Amy is still alive out there somewhere, kept alive only by a will to resist the deceiver. I hold on to that hope, rocking back and forth in my cell to pass the time. I will never give in. I will never break. I am a hero. The doctor read the paper the patient had scribbled on. It was barely readable, written in a shaky script of one who could not see. He wanted to smile at the man's steadfast resolve, a reminder of the human will to survive, but he knew that the patient was completely delusional. After all, a sane man would have fallen for deception long ago. The doctor wanted me to smile. He wanted to whisper words of encouragement to the delusional man. He wanted to scream, but the nerve filaments wrapped around his head into his eyes made him do otherwise. His body walked into the cell like a puppet and told the patient once more that he was wrong, that there was nobody trying to deceive him.